Hello and welcome to True Crime Diary, a light-hearted podcast on a serious subject. Every 2 weeks we look back through true crime stories to discuss an event that took place on this week in history. I'm your host Mark Decana, and with me as always are my friends Jed Lester.
Hello.
And Rue Turner.
Hello.
So the date we're looking at this episode is the 23rd of February, and in 1820 police sprung a trap and arrested conspirators at the Cato Street Conspiracy, a conspiracy to murder the entire British cabinet, including the Prime Minister, Lord Liverpool.
Wow, the whole cabinet. That's something people might consider these days.
I know.
Yeah, quite right.
Let's talk geography.
Okay.
Where are we talking about?
We are talking about
Cato?
Cato Street is...
Is it in the city?
It's near Edgware Road.
Fine. It's not in the city.
All right. It's under the jurisdiction of the Bow Street runners, the Bow Street area.
Fine.
So no police force at this stage.
Yeah, it's always bad, isn't it? Before police.
Yeah. So we say police, but we're talking about Bow Street runners, which is basically men in big coats with lanterns.
And whistles. Yeah. Stop, I say.
No.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. So for the purposes of everyone else, central London. Are we saying very central London?
How central would you say Edgware Road is? I don't know.
It's north. It's north of central.
It's 100 years ago. What do you want from me? No one's going to know where that is anyway, unless they live in London.
Well, exactly. That's why we're telling them.
It's in London.
Great. Brilliant.
Near the centre of London.
I don't know what you want me to say. I barely know where it is. It's in London.
Fine. Go on then.
Want me to look up Edgware Road so I can just...
Well, I know where it is.
Tell all the other streets. Well, you tell me where it is.
North of.
That's... Oh, brilliant. That's a genius. Where is it? It's north of. Not even of a thing.
Immediately north of Hyde Park, if that helps anyone.
Yep, it is.
It's northwest London.
Yeah. It's north of Oxford Street on the way to the Euston Road.
From Marble Arch.
Yeah.
Is that specific enough for you?
Yeah. It's a 15-minute walk to the Sherlock Holmes Museum.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's noted for its distinct Middle Eastern cuisine, many late-night bars and shisha cafes.
It is, yeah.
Shisha
They also
cafes.
do those, what they call those kind of bubble smoke
for
bubbles.
Goodness sake.
You know, like
Yeah, hookah.
hookah.
Yeah.
That's another
You
area
tried
of
a
London you're thinking.
No, a hookah is...
You had many hookers?
A hookah is a pipe with many hoses off of it.
Yeah. Them.
Same thing.
Many hose.
Many hose.
Yes, combination hookah and coffee maker. Also makes julienne fries.
Anyway, so you're looking at a time of deep unrest, 1820.
Are we?
Deep,
Why is that?
Deep unrest. You've got a confluence of events. So George III has just died.
Was he mad?
Yes, Mad King George.
That's why he died.
Okay.
A mad kraut sausage sucker.
He's succeeded by the regent,
The son who can't keep his own sausage to himself.
who was now George Part 4, ably played by Hugh Laurie.
Why, the public love me. Only the other day I was out in the street and they sang, "We hail Prince George! We hail Prince George!"
We hate Prince George.
The previous year, you would have had the Peterloo Massacre.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
You know about that?
Yep.
We've
And
referenced
5
it
years
once or twice.
previously
We have, yeah.
was it Waterloo?
Yes. So
Yeah.
1815,
I would
5
call
years.
it the Lou dynasty.
The Lou years.
The Lou years.
And that plays a part as well. So the Peterloo Massacre was basically a bunch of people protesting who were charged and fired live rounds upon by the army. Lots of people died, obviously, hence the word massacre. And that came out of protest based on, a lot of it was people coming back from the war.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, we've spent all our money. Britain is broke. It's spent all its money on war.
Sure.
Napoleonic Wars have just ended those few years before, and then everyone's coming back from the war looking for work. All the ex-servicemen demobbed.
Yeah.
So people are out. There's unemployment. There's
Poverty.
very unpopular Prince George.
The new one.
George IV.
Also, would they? I might have probably got this completely wrong, but hadn't at some point Britain had kind of run out of wood
It was a lot of wood to go through.
because they spent it in war on ships a lot.
Oh yeah, well I suppose yeah, yeah.
It's true. I don't know whether it was at that exact moment, but when you say Britain is broke, it's that kind of reminds me of.
Well, they would have spent They would have spent money on the armed forces,
absolutely,
who now were unemployed.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that we were a naval power; we didn't have much of an army, so we had to hire or recruit loads of people to go fight a land war in Europe.
Do you mean loads of non-English?
No, we had to.
Oh, just loads of people.
We had to say, look, come and join the army.
Everyone.
Let's go to France.
Yeah.
Because before that, as a naval power, all of our power was in ships. We didn't have an army to speak of.
Right.
So we had to hire everyone to go fight the war and then spend all our money on their wages, provisions, logistics, etc. And then they come back and they're all unemployed and we've got no money left, among other things. Although there was a possibility that we did spend a lot of money on ships. But also cannon and food and horses and carts and transport, all the usual wars.
Didn't we earn out of it?
Not really.
Waterloo.
Everyone was broke.
There you go.
Everyone spent all their money on warring.
Water-based things.
Water stuff. So you've got unemployment, unrest, unpopular monarch.
And no police.
And then they implement this, what's called the 6 Acts, which is basically, as you always find with government, in order to quell unrest, they impose things to stop you protesting.
Yes,
they make
of course,
it illegal to assemble,
do certain
talk
things,
about this stuff. You know,
literally what they do now.
Yeah, I'll say Cruella Braverman will be proud of that.
Yeah, exactly what they try to do. Yeah. So, we don't like protests, so we'll instead of doing something about the things you're protesting about, we'll outlaw protests.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Leadership in government is political power, and political power is an official form of antagonizing the people.
So you had like loads of acts that basically you couldn't do anything. So
being in possession of a banner with words on.
Exactly.
Standing.
And of course also this is a time where transportation or execution are viable alternatives.
Yeah.
These are things that you can.
Yeah.
If you assemble and protest or you talk about sedition, there is every possibility you could find yourself in Australia.
Right.
So you have to risk all to even gather together. Meanwhile, at the other side of the argument, you've got people who are looking not only at unrest but looking at revolution, actually legitimately plotting to overthrow the government.
Who are these people, by the way?
Well, there's a group of conspirators, and they are referred to generally as Spencean philanthropists.
That's a good,
great name.
Rubbish. Good / rubbish title.
It's just fortunate none of them had a lisp.
Wait.
Give me an S.
Which group are you? With a Spencer... Hang on a minute. With a Spencer... We're rioters. Okay.
I thought we were the Popular Front. People's Front!
Thomas Spence is a writer and radical.
Who is he?
And he wrote a thing called The Rights of Man about 40 years before Thomas Paine wrote The Rights of Man, which is the big revolutionary document that circulated in America and started a revolution.
Yeah. Right.
So basically, he's an early
adopter.
An early adopter, yeah. It's like going, How about some of them rights then for us?
And what ultimately is he? What's he getting at?
Well, they just want reform, government reform, more freedoms, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom, all the good stuff.
Okay.
Fair government, employment, cheaper bread, that sort of thing. They've got the corn laws and things, keeping the price of bread high, and it's all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
Without going to every act since
sure.
Since the start of the 19th century, there's just a lot of very conservative legislation that's basically holding the country back as far as the revolutionaries are concerned. So they figure that they will assassinate the cabinet while they're gathered together at dinner.
Okay.
Seize all the main government buildings and establish a committee of public safety. Rather like your sort of thing you would have found in revolutionary France. So they're proper revolution.
Full on going for it.
Yeah.
He who saves a nation violates no law.
When you say assassinate...
It's kind of a gunpowder plot sort of thing, isn't it?
It's very much so, yes.
Yeah, what were they... The assassination angle, what was the idea? On the base... How they were going to do it,
Rush in and kill everyone.
They could have just poisoned everyone. Because they were sitting down to eat.
Grenades.
Lovely roast grenade. I'll just light this candle.
The theory was...
Light the big round one first.
Happy birthday. Lovely. This is a...
What they thought was that if they start... People always think this, and we said gunpowder plot, they thought this as well. If we start something, everyone else will join in.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the theory.
Yeah.
Because people were sick of it, or people were gullible, or...
Yeah, well, it was
both.
It was unrest.
Up for it.
They figure if someone's turning on the government and actually achieving something, then they'll
join in.
take up their pitchforks.
What do we want? Right. Change. When do we want it? It's fairly recent.
As soon as it's viable.
Yeah.
So they figured, if the cabinet gathers together for a cabinet dinner, they would rush in with pistols and grenades.
Wow.
And kill every last one of them.
O Lord, bless this thy hand grenade, that with it thou mayst blow thine enemies to tiny bits, in thy mercy.
And when you say grenades, do you mean pull a pin out and shout,
No.
ahoy? No. What do they shout?
Why would you shout ahoy?
Ahoy,
They
ahoy.
shout ahoy? No, they don't.
Fire in the hole.
Yeah. Why did I say ahoy?
You're thinking of boats again.
I don't know. I'm thinking of cartoons or something. So anyway, you pull out a pin. Would it have had a pin?
No, it would have had a fuse.
Of course it wouldn't have
This
had
is
a pin.
back in the days of
What are you
flint
talking about?
muskets.
Right, yeah, fine.
Late 5th, early 6th century Emperor Maurice of the Byzantine Empire.
He wasn't called Emperor
published-
Maurice.
It was! Well, in Greek it would have been Morikos.
There you go.
It's anglicised as Maurice. He published Maurice's Strategicon, which was basically a very straightforward written book about the skills of warfare and all the equipment necessary, and it was very simply written.
Kill the enemy.
So
Did it mention grenades?
They had grenades.
Yeah.
Shrapnel bombs.
Water balloon.
Well, that's what they were in 1820s as well.
Yes.
But they were like a cast sphere.
Yeah.
With a hole in the side, and you just fill it with bits of metal, pointy things,
And gunpowder.
Fuse,
Yeah. You'd light a fuse on. It'd be a little hand-sized bomb. They would have been really heavy as well, because they would be like iron.
Yeah. And they wouldn't have a nice kind of pineapple outside to them, with the grooves in it to help it shrapnel better.
No
They're just like spear.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Oh, it's landed in my hood.
But the Byzantine ones would be clay and filled with Greek fire, which is actually
Worst
napalm.
kind of fire.
Arguably better.
So would you... Right, run in. Right, everyone, can you light this grenade, please?
Who's got a match?
Exactly, yeah. So how do you... Because you've got to time it. You've got to time it correctly.
There's no timing, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You'd know how long the fuse would last.
3 shall be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3.
Well, therefore, do you run in and light it, or do you light it and run in?
You light it first and then go in.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, you would light it, open the door, lob it in, and then shut it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you go.
But if it then took 30 seconds to blow up, everyone could run out the door.
No, you wouldn't. You'd know fuses well enough to know how long they can last. You just
So what are we talking about? We're talking about a ball of bullets.
Arguably, yeah, essentially.
Okay.
So like a cast iron ball,
about the size of a cricket ball.
Oh yeah.
Cast in iron with a hole.
It would have. It might have shrapnel, but ideally it would be packed with gunpowder, and then the casing, the cast iron would explode.
So the
fuse
encapsulation is ultimately becomes the weapon.
Becomes shrapnel. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you all have one of them.
We'll have one of
and
them.
You chuck it in.
You lob it in. They'll go bang, 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 shrapnel everywhere, and then you rush in with your pistol.
Oh, as well. Right.
In case anyone was hiding under the table.
Of course.
Or dropped a fork or something.
I'd hide under the table.
That style of grenade was used very successfully at Waterloo as well.
Right. Okay.
Just to clear the deck.
Some of which the revolutionaries would have been at. So they would have gone, leave it to me. I did this 5 years ago.
We're weapons and tactics experts. We enjoy a challenge.
One of the conspirators said that had they succeeded in the plan to assassinate the cabinet ministers, he would have decapitated them and put their heads on Westminster Bridge.
Oh, okay. Hang on. That's what they were going to do to the cabinet.
To the cabinet, yeah.
Not the conspirator.
No, the conspirators. One of the conspirators said after they were all arrested, that he was going to take their heads and put them on the bridge as traitors.
I was going to say,
was that a normal thing? I don't mean for the cabinet to be displayed like that, but for baddies.
I mean, it would have been less.
Was it still? It seems a bit.
It would have been less usual for the time, yes, but it wasn't impossible.
What was the one who was
Traitor's Gate? Is it?
Yeah.
What was the bloke who was displayed there for 25 years or
Oliver
something?
Cromwell.
Oh, so that was a good 200 years before, more than 200 years. So that style was dying out.
That wasn't really a thing.
So that would have been like, oh my god, to that.
It would have
it's
been
like
a huge deal.
It's not. I mean, it's not necessarily like doing it now.
As a show of force and intent,
and
it would have been very
a message.
Yeah,
right, okay. But that's what he was going to do.
That was what he was going to do.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
So hang on, right, where are we now? Have they rushed in and thrown their grenades yet?
No, they didn't get that far.
Damn, I've just wasted half an hour of grenade talk.
So no heads on spikes,
No.
no grenades.
No. Was Madame Tussauds invented?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, you could have read the news the next day on the
It would have been
Wax Museum.
Before they ever got to trial, there would have been 27 new figurines of Madame Tussauds.
Visited by 40,000 people.
Yep.
So the group was led by a man named Arthur Thistlewood. He was already an agitator. He'd been involved in riots a few years before. So he was already a known agitator, known to, I was going to say police, but to magistrates.
Yes.
And he had a second in command of his group called George Edwards. Now, George Edwards is quite interesting because not only was he second in command of the group, he also helped to fund the group. And he was also a spy for the authorities.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Left there like a time bomb, gently ticking away until he is activated by the other side.
So
he had some money, no wonder he was trusted.
Yeah.
Did he earn the money? Did he have the money because he gave the other side information? And then he used
He may have been
that
given the money in order to gain their trust.
Yeah, it's not. I don't really have the information about how, because it's possible that that the group was being funded by the government.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Arguably,
yeah.
Yes.
In very indirectly.
It's possible,
and without that money,
information
they wouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I mean, it could have been if you
That's
wanted
very
to go,
confusing.
If you want to go full conspiracy theory, it could be that the government is allowing it to proceed and funding it to proceed in order to
make an example.
To make an example of dissenters. Yeah.
Wow.
This is a conspiracy. That's what this is. One big damn conspiracy, and everyone's in on it.
That's like the CIA. This is a bit controversial. The CIA creating villains to then going, yeah, we've caught this baddie.
That's not
who was going to
do that all the time.
Fine. We've caught this baddie who was going to blow up whatever. Hooray for the security.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the adulation.
Yeah, like when
Thanks,
J. Edgar Hoover, they had them hold the arrest of who was it? And they said, keep him there until I turn up and I'll arrest him.
Yes.
So we've done that, haven't we?
We did that one. Yeah.
And we've all forgotten.
We've all forgotten who it was. There wasn't
Bonnie,
no.
Jimmy Cagney, the James. No, one of them.
Yeah, one of them.
It's one of them, isn't it?
One of the number ones.
It's one of your 4 top 10.
Maybe it was
America's top 10.
He comes up a lot. Might have been him.
It's one of the America's top 10, isn't it?
Yeah. It's propaganda, isn't it? So he gets to turn up and say, I've arrested him. I'm saying, well, he could have arrested him hours ago if we had to wait for
So you invent the problem and the solution simultaneously.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they set up their headquarters by renting a small building on Cato Street.
Using government funds.
Arguably using government funds. So the plan, as I say, was to get this dinner, to get them at a dinner. In order to make sure they got them at a dinner, they invented a dinner.
Brilliant.
They created an occasion. Basically.
Well, all those MPs would have gone, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They could have ordered a pheasant. And what are the words where it's like 3 animals all put together?
Yeah, it was pretty standard, wasn't it? So
cock, pig.
Well, a quail, puss, grouse.
But they kind of you
have like
join the words
man
together.
word, yeah.
I can't remember what they're called. It's like a pig.
You're just trying to think of three animals.
I am, yeah.
Three
It's
birds.
a famous word. Yeah, well, it is. It's a famous.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Turducken.
Turducken, yeah, that's one. We still have them. We just call them a three-bird race.
They would definitely have been up for that then.
Completely, yeah. Flagons of ale, the occasional
Crow pie,
a turducken,
some I don't know wenches, probably
serving wenches.
But they would have been
a pineapple just to see on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They would have been big at the time.
My lord, what is thou
exotic
yellow thing?
It tastes like a pineapple. Go ahead, lick a pineapple.
Oh, by this time, half the houses in London would have had pineapples outside on statues of pineapples.
You could move for them.
There was a signature.
The only fruit to have statues made of it.
Yeah, but I mean, literally, like half of London has got pineapple statues on top of the roof or on the pillars outside of the gate. It's symbolic of wealth and welcome.
So they would all been up for that invitation, basically.
Completely. So the idea of putting this dinner together, obviously, our man Edwards is keeping the Home Office well apprised of this plan.
Of course he is, yeah. Whilst funding it.
Whilst helping to organise this potential cabinet dinner.
Yeah.
This will be strictly a formal affair, Codman, but purely social. By that I mean purely political.
On the 23rd of February, the Bow Street magistrate and 12 officers of the Bow Street Runners were secreted in a pub across the street from the building on Cato Street.
Be very, very quiet.
They decided that they would wait all afternoon because they were expecting reinforcements from the Coldstream Guards.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously Bow Street Runners basically have a stick and a lantern. They're not armed. So they wanted to wait.
A whistle.
And a whistle. Never forget the whistle.
Absolutely.
So they decided to wait until the soldiery turned up.
Yep.
So they waited in the pub all afternoon.
All afternoon.
Oh, God.
They'd have been fresh.
Just
give it another 5 minutes.
They
beer in a second.
They would have absolutely been drinking, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Without an absolute shadow of a doubt.
No question.
Caning it for hours.
So while they were waiting, then the Thistlewood's group, the conspirators, turned up and were observed going into the little place to assemble, ready for their nefarious activity. Yeah. So at 7:30 or thereabouts, the Bow Street Runners decided not to wait any longer for the soldiers to turn up because it's evening time and the conspirators are all there. So they said, "Let's get them."
Go, 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 go!
So they rushed into the property at Cato Street and there was a big fight. Some people immediately surrendered, others less so. Thistlewood killed a Bow Street Runner with a sword.
Oh, God. Wow.
A few people slipped out through the back, but they were arrested a few days later.
That's a pretty good show from a bunch of drunken cops.
Yeah, pretty good. Better than the other sober cops have managed.
So what was the net result was that no MPs were harmed?
No MPs were harmed.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
How did they know where to lie in wait for us? They had information.
From the outset of the planned conspiracy, the authorities knew what was happening and kept close tabs on it.
Okay.
And like I say, to the effect of arguably funding it.
Yeah.
So he knew exactly what was going on the whole time because of at least a spy, but they did have other spies as well. So now you've got these freedom fighters, arguably, / terrorists, depending on your point of view. And they're
all arrested.
They're all arrested.
Knowing the laws of the time, it's not looking good for them.
The rope for me.
That said, at that moment, what had they done?
Well, there was a long list
Because you could argue nothing.
Conspired.
It's conspiracy, yes. Okay, so there's a long list of charges. There's about 10, 11 charges.
I'm sure they'd come up with bloody loads of charges.
All of them start with the word conspiring.
Okay.
So it's all like, you planned to.
But we didn't.
Well, that was enough.
Who says?
Says you.
Yeah. No, I never.
Yeah. I mean, interestingly, on that point, Edwards, who was the spy,
Yep.
it was argued that he couldn't actually make a statement because he's unreliable for being, because he wasn't called to the stand to testify because he was in the employ of the government.
Yeah,
so obviously he'll just do as he's told.
But I'm not. But you know what I mean. I mean, I'm not defending the Spensorians, but ultimately they were being charged on the info about that Edwards would have given them about conspiring.
Yeah.
And there's no leaked WhatsApp messages or recordings.
No, exactly. Yeah. Or act of any kind. But anyway.
Although arguably they were arrested running in armed to the teeth.
They weren't running in; they were run in on.
Yeah, exactly.
The police ran into their
to stop it.
Police burst in and arrested some people who were having a meeting.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Under the Six Acts, you're not allowed to have seditious meetings.
But it's only seditious
that was,
by the definition of those running in to arrest you.
And also,
who are the authorities?
But also the recent laws that would have been passed to say you can't have
it's unlawful.
I mean, someone could run in now and say, "Oh, you've got an arrest for having a seditious meeting."
Yeah. Where we are about the podcast.
But yes, well, given all of that, how do you get a conviction in a case where you basically have very little evidence?
Yeah.
You get someone to turn on the others.
Yeah.
Members of accused.
They got two of the conspirators to testify against the other conspirators.
And they highly annoyingly would have said, we were going to kill him or whatever. Yeah. And then that's all they need.
He told us to do it.
No, but I mean, they would have said, I know we didn't do anything, but we were going to put his head on a spike.
I didn't want to do it, but they made me.
Were you conspiring
I was too scared.
to
put so-and-so's...
to commit murder? Were you conspiring to burn barracks? Were you conspiring to levy war?
Yes.
Or any other things you want to come up with? Yes, we were. Right, you're all
guilty.
Convicted.
Yeah, right.
So two of them... Robert Adams and John Monument testified against all the other conspirators.
Oh yeah, bloody John Monument.
And charges against them were dropped. They were free.
Classic.
Really? Do you call that justice?
So 28th of April, the end of the trials, most of them were sentenced to be hanged, drawn and quartered for high treason.
Hanged, not good enough for them.
Yikes.
Drawn, as in sketched.
No.
Like one of your French girls.
You mean
on a wooden?
Drawn.
They were supposed to be drawn,
dragged,
then hanged, dragged. Yeah,
dragged
through the streets,
dragged,
then
and...
hanged, dragged, then hagged, then
sketched,
then quartered. Yeah, that was the sentence. However, the sentences were all commuted.
Oh,
as far as that's concerned.
Yes.
Most of the death sentences were commuted to transportation for life.
Where?
Australia.
Great.
Bit of sun,
assuming you survive
beaches.
Assuming you survive the 3-month journey to get there.
Oh yeah.
And
you would go
hard labour
with barrels of boiled lemons.
I thought they were going surfing.
If you survive your sentence, well, it's for life, so you're not going to
go surfing.
You're not going to get to the end of the sentence. It's hard labour, and then you die.
Oh,
You'll never be released.
Yeah. Perhaps that's not as
it's not as brilliant.
Good as I. At least nice weather.
Yeah, at least it'll be under a blazing sun that you do your hard labour.
As opposed to drizzle.
It's hot! Damn hot! Real hot!
Arthur Thistlewood and 4 other of the main conspirators were hanged at Newgate.
Okay.
In front of a crowd of thousands.
Really? These guys did nothing. Really? Kill them. Kill them.
Some people paid 3 guineas for a decent window overlooking the
hospitality VIP tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure I would have done that.
How much is it?
Yeah, how much is
a guinea?
We like.
I don't know. From memory, it's
monetary.
like £1 and a shilling.
It's a small furry animal that you might keep as a pet.
It is £1 and a shilling.
£1 and a shilling.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? What is the point of that? £1 and a shilling. Why having another coin for that?
What do you mean? Why just make it a pound?
Just £1 and a shilling. Here's
just
a
make
pound.
a pound.
Here's a shilling. I have them already.
So there's 120 pence in a pound and 6p in a shilling. So there's 126 pence
to watch a hanging.
A guinea.
You pay up to 3 guineas just to look over at the.
That's £3 and 3
That's
shillings.
Quite a lot of money.
That's £3. That's a lot of money at that time. Yeah,
that's like the year's wages.
You might earn 10 shillings a week.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money.
Wow.
They were so concerned, the authorities, that the execution of the conspirators might cause more rioting, that they had 2 troops of lifeguards, not what you're thinking, as opposed to Coldstream Guards or Welsh Guards or Scots Guards,
right, yeah.
military, and 8 artillery pieces. deployed around.
Wow.
So they could fire cannon.
Just in case.
Right.
Fire cannon at people.
At people, yeah.
Not really like a scene from Baywatch, then.
Yeah.
No.
Now, having been hanged, the 5 conspirators,
Yep.
after they were hanged by the official hangman,
Yes.
John Foxton in this case,
Oh, yeah.
an unidentified man in a black hood decapitated the dead bodies.
Okay.
And their heads were removed and placed on a spike.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
And they would...
Because the last heads on spikes on London Bridge, as far as I know, is 1660, which is
that's
a while before this.
150 years after.
This is the head of a traitor!
So they basically did to the conspirators what the conspirators had intended to do to the cabinet.
I'll learn them. Ultimately, why are we talking about this?
This crime of high treason.
Right, yes. Because ultimately, if it had happened, every single person in the government...
Cabinet
would have had a nice meal.
Would have had dinner.
Had a lovely dinner. And then beheaded.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So you could
It's a
compare
miniature
it.
gunpowder plot.
Yeah, right, okay. All right, fine. I'll allow it. Right, yeah. So it's pretty seismic, then, isn't it? In that, if you describe it like that,
It was massive, and basically because on the one hand you've got the conspirators are saying they've got the public unrest behind them. They, of course, as far as they're concerned, they are fighting for rights and freedoms and all the rest of it.
I know, rebel. Just want justice.
Whereas on the other side, you've got the government arguably being relatively oppressive, but also because they have fight for the economy, there isn't money to pay for
absolutely.
employment.
So they're trying to work things out.
But also, it could be argued that they were inciting the unrest in order to prove that their point. You know, if they paid for this insurrection and then put down the insurrection, it's asserting power. It's propaganda, like we talked about. In fact, there was an MP in Parliament at the time who said that, you know, you set this up to justify the 6 acts and everything else.
Sure.
So, I mean, it was quite a big furore surrounded the whole event.
Yeah.
So it just sort of went back and forth in Parliament quite a lot. The point of it is there was this act of treason, but arguably it's government versus the needs of the people.
Yeah.
The government establishing authority.
So they were just trying to light the fuse of change.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
1A Cato Street is a listed building.
Because that was where it happened.
That is the building where it happened. And in 1977, it received a blue plaque
saying,
"Here was the Cato Street Conspiracy."
Wow. 1977.
Not now, Cato, but 1977.
God almighty. They get worse. There is a play called Cato Street.
Yeah.
First produced 1971 with a cast that included Vanessa Redgrave and Bob Hoskins, which was written by Robert Shaw.
Really?
Yeah.
The Robert Shaw?
The Robert Shaw of Jaws fame.
Really?
Yeah.
When
Just
did you after Jaws?
During Jaws.
On the off bits of
he was
Jaws.
Drunk out of his mind on Jaws, so he wouldn't have written anything. Mind you, he wrote the speech in Jaws, so maybe he was a good writer. Maybe drinking is what made him a good writer.
Yeah.
I don't know when he wrote it.
Farewell, the Spanish lady.
That's all for this time. If you want to know more about what we've talked about on this episode, then just Google it or something. You can listen to all of our previous episodes on our website. That's www.truecrimediary.co.uk. Please remember to leave a review on your podcast provider if you can, or you can email us. That's stuff@truecrimediary.co.uk. My thanks to Jed and Rue and to all of you for listening, and we'll see you again on the next date in our True Crime Diary.